All right, here they are, the 12 teams we think will make the playoffs. Mike, Pete, and John inside the Matt Black Kia studios here. We start in the AFC, guys, where the Patriots have now a 2-game lead over the Bills. Bad loss by the Bills this week. I know it's on the road, but Patriots across the board in the East. We know that is set in stone for all three of us. But let's go to the South. I think every division is up for grabs. The South has all sorts of problems. The North has all sorts of problems. There's only one team over 500.
Well, you're right about the South, too. The North and the South have a lot of problems.
Just take that.
The South might be better than the North.
Right.
I mean, you got Cleveland really bringing you down there at the bottom. But I got Pittsburgh. There's some reports.
You at one point have 3 teams from the North making the playoffs.
Yes, and I still think Cincinnati.
And now you think they're the worst division in the AFC?
Just 3 teams without under 500. I'm going Pittsburgh. There's some reports that Roethlisberger could be back after the bye.
He wanted to be back this week.
After they watch Landry Jones play. They're getting stem cells in there as we speak.
There were some issues there. I have Pittsburgh in the North still.
Pittsburgh as well. And by the way, New England, if you look at the way AFC's going, they can make their reservations for Houston.
Unreal. Speaking of Houston, I reluctantly have put them in the South. I just don't know that any other team in that South has a shot to beat. I mean, when they play each other.
Colts had a nice win, but it's hard to look at them. I've got Houston in there.
I'm sticking with Houston, although they will not be the first team to play the Super Bowl in their home stadium.
No.
You don't have to worry about that.
By the way, they're a minus 37, which is the second worst in their division.
Yeah,
I mean, Indianapolis and Tennessee.
It's the lesser of 4 evils.
They've only scored 117 points this year.
It's and we just talked about Brock Osweiler before on the show. I mean, Rick Smith should be ashamed of himself for signing that contract.
All 4 Houston wins at home.
All right, well, they can go 8-8 if they win them all.
They get to play the rest of the AFC South a lot, so they'll win a bad division.
AFC West, this one's competitive. You got all 4 teams really with a possibility. 3 of them have 2 losses. I'm going with Kansas City. Kansas City wins the West.
Jeez. Denver, I had in last week. I've got Denver again this week. I still think the strength of their defense is enough to carry them, and they get just enough done on the offensive side of the ball to make it happen.
I agree. Denver's defense and their playoff pedigree also is a part of it. They're the winners, and I have Kansas City as one of my wild cards.
I've got Denver and Oakland as my wild cards.
Oh, we're all in the same boat. I've got Oakland and KC as my wild card.
I have KC, but I'm still not giving up on Cincinnati. Cincinnati's right back in the conversation in a bad division.
3-4 Cincinnati?
Yeah.
I'm on the record. I had Cincinnati winning that division when the season started. I'm on the record as Cincinnati is right there. I like it. I like that team.
They are right there.
They're getting better.
Have a very difficult schedule. It's going to ease up.
Eifert back.
And Eifert's back. It started with the easy game against Cleveland. They're going to be right back in it before you know it.
I'm mad at myself for not putting them in.
Why not? Because we're all in love with the AFC West, except for John.
I'm going to be the guy kicking myself that I believed in Oakland when they let me down.
What do you mean?
I just do not like Oakland's defense a little bit.
Me either. I'm changing it to the Bengals. Now, I'll stay with Denver and Oakland this week. I was impressed that Oakland went across the country and won. I'll give them that.
It was Jacksonville, though.
Still, you got to do those things. Atlanta couldn't do it, and you'll find out what I think about them in just a couple of minutes. All right, in the West, Seattle. That was a game that Arizona had to win. Seattle wins the West.
Yeah, I mean, 4-1-1.
A 6-6 game.
Yeah.
Not.
With 2 kickers missing field goals under 30 yards.
Terrible.
You know I love the kickers. Not that way. Oh, Pete
in
Carroll
the South.
jumping up and down.
In the South. This could be the worst division in football. I've got Tampa winning the South.
I'm still sticking with Atlanta in the South.
I will stick with the Falcons, as I usually do, far too long. And
they're not getting me this.
There is no Carolina, obviously, this year for them to completely. They're in the games. They just can't finish them. I didn't kill Dan Quinn for his decision that didn't work out.
A lot of people did.
At some point, They have to win one of those games. They have
Yep.
to stop the free fall.
You can't
If
lose
they're
that game at
able
home.
to do it.
Sorry, you can't lose that game at home against San Diego traveling
But I
across the
mean,
country.
Tampa Bay's terrible as well. It's
They've won
terrible
2 in a row.
versus terrible.
Atlanta, too many shootouts. Too many. Their defense is horrible. They're the Atlanta of the NFC. Minnesota.
They are
in the North.
Atlanta. How can
They are
they be the
Atlanta.
Atlanta?
They're the
NFC?
Oakland.
They're the Atlanta of
I
Atlanta.
looked at John. I'm like,
They're
wait a
like-
second.
They're the Oakland of the NFC. Sorry.
Got it.
They're terrible defense. Minnesota wins the North.
I have Minnesota winning the North. Had them winning the North in Week 5. Had them winning the North in Week 6. Had them winning the North in Week 7, despite the loss to the Eagles.
I do think they'll still win it, but I'll tell you what, Jim Schwartz just gave everybody a blueprint how to beat Sam Bradford.
Zone blitzing.
A lot changes though when they have the lead. They got to get the lead.
They do have to
When
get
you're
the
a
lead.
team like that predicates defense.
That's why that
first.
Josh Huff, Dave Phipp is so important to the Eagles. If the Vikings are playing with the lead, that game is far different.
Dallas wins the East.
And Huff didn't get tackled by the kicker. Never get tackled.
No. Nice effort by Blair Walsh, though.
Yeah, like a turnstile. Come on in. Would you like a mint on your pillow?
I'm going Dallas as well.
I have Dallas as well.
A big game, though. I mean, the Eagles could send a message if they somehow can figure out a way. They're going to have to win this game in a different fashion, though, because they're not going to be able to dominate the Dallas offensive line. So that means the Eagles offense has to actually produce some.
Yeah.
And we'll see, because the skill position people
Dallas's
at this
defense
point
is not Minnesota's
terrible.
defense.
No, exactly. And that's my point. The offense has to produce. I don't know if they have the skill position people to do it.
See, I picked Philly to beat Minnesota because of the offensive line issues that Minnesota had. It was one of those, hey, bad offensive line.
But
coming
they've
off
had those issues, and other teams haven't been able to do it.
Exactly, but my point really was you're bound for that week where you hit the speed bump, where your flaw,
They weren't going 16.
where your flaw catches up to you
And
on the
72
road, off,
Dolphins break the champagne open once again.
on the road after the bye. Felt like the week that they were going to have the letdown game offensive line wise. This week, their strength offensive line. So
Yes.
as
in turn, the Eagles' offense has to come out of their
carry a little
slumber.
bit, yeah.
I mean, they're going to have to carry their water.
NFC wildcards.
I have Green Bay and Detroit. Detroit moved into a wild card spot, I think, for the first time in my who's in, who's out this season, based off the strength of Matt Stafford.
Detroit, they're an underrated team, but they lost Kyle Van Noy today, so I'm joking, obviously. But
He was traded, by the way.
I'm sticking with Green Bay and Arizona. Actually, I'm going back to Green Bay. I had them out last week. And believe it or not, even after their most impressive performance, I'm taking the Eagles out just because, again, I go back to the skill position people. I just don't like it offensively. I don't know how you move forward if you have no playmakers on the field to help Carson Wentz.
I've got Arizona and Green Bay as well.
It makes me a Lions fan. I guess I'm the world's biggest Lions fan because I'm the only guy that hasn't been.
Some might say world's only Lions fan.
Actually, I'm getting a lot of
Me
Lion
and Tim
people
Allen from Home
tweeting at me
Improvement.
all of a sudden.
Hey, there's more.
I got the Lion
About Kyle Van
contingent.
Noy?
Yeah. It's amazing where they come from. Boy, Sports Bash 97.3 ESPN. That's who's in, who's out for this week.